Hello and welcome to the Woman Show. I'm Lenina Rasool, and today we are speaking about all things menstruation, from periods, period products and period poverty. After the break, we are going to be speaking to Stephanie Lamore, who is the co-founder of Komani, a social enterprise that manufactures and distributes reusable pads to schoolgirls, amongst other demographics. We're going to be discussing access to menstrual products, or rather the lack thereof, the impact on the environment, and more. But before that, we're going to have a look at a short video about period poverty. Let's have a look. Welcome back. You're still watching The Woman Show, and today we are speaking about periods, about menstruation, about period poverty, and with me in studio is Stephanie Lamore from Komani, an organization that manufactures and distributes reusable pads to fight period poverty. Stephanie, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Stephanie, period poverty is a huge issue. Menstruation itself, I often say, is something that we don't like to talk about. It is historically and still, I think, barely even acknowledged that women bleed every single month. Tell us about, to start us off, tell us about Komani. What is it? How did it start?
Komani, the thing with the taboo around menstruation is exactly why we're having this conversation, because people don't talk about it. Today, when you talk to somebody about periods, they look down for whatever reason. It doesn't matter where you find yourself in life. So this is a good platform for us just to break that and sit opposite each other as women, knowing that this is a monthly occurrence. And it's something that we need to embrace and just be real about. So Komani was founded in 2019. And we run an after-school program through our non-profit, TAF, the Womxn Foundation. And through our after-school program, we were introduced to what is the term period poverty, where girls would not go to school and because they lack product. And at that time, in 2017, 2018, we were favored to get like a container load probably of disposable pads from Community Chest. They gave us this consignment. And then we had identified certain schools, dropped off the pads, and oh, you know how good you feel when you go and you do this pad drive? We all have done that at some point on a corporate walk and that. And then we go and we drop off the pads, and then we leave that school. And then a week later, the school would phone and say, and then we go back and we go and drop off 6 months' supply of pads. And a week later, the school would phone, sorry, the phone is school. The school would phone and say that they back to where they were.
Wow.
And something wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I give you, the recipient or the secretary has control over the school, and you get your 6 packs of pads. But you know what? You go home and mommy's there, auntie's there, auntie lives next door, maybe you have a sister.
Yeah.
And that 6 packs of pads last you for 1 cycle.
Yeah.
Don't even think about what that 1 pack of pads does. It probably lasts you for the better part of 2 days, depending on your flow. Right?
I was going to say, right?
So we feel good because we've done that bit. We've given the pack of pads. There's no dignity attached to that. And I must commend the director of our foundation. He actually sat down and he thought, no, man, bugger this. He's a male, obviously. He doesn't get his periods, but there must be a long-term solution in terms of this. And the very first pack that or consignment that we imported from a well-established company in another African country. And it was a beautiful product. But because of the currency...
A reusable product.
A reusable product. But because of the currency conversion, there was no ways that we as a non-profit would have been able to market this to sponsors and then hand it out to schools. It was just not affordable, viable. And then we went on our own research. We didn't know, we had no idea. Looked at this product and we thought, where are we going to start? What are we going to do? We did buy some locally as well, because I know, and there are local manufacturers as well. At the time, this is 2017, but it wasn't what we always, even at our non-profit, we operate in terms of what we have, you have. We do not eat out of 2 different pots. Everybody eats the same. So if I won't wear the product, what makes you think I'm going to give it to somebody who's perhaps less fortunate? How dare you have that kind of... And we wanted a product that we would be comfortable to wear as well.
I love that as a, sorry, just to say, as a starting ethos.
Yes.
So I'm like, let's just get something that I know I would wear, so that I know it's good enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
So finally, probably close to 2 years of research, because as I say, we didn't know about fabric, we didn't know about waterproof, we didn't know about anything. So after teaching ourselves the ropes and that, we came up with our product. And in 2019, July of 2019, we launched our product. And yeah, it was like our crowning glory. I just want to tell you quickly that Komani means, it's a Xhosa word, it means female royalty. So Queenstown, that formerly was called Queenstown, is now called Komani, just as an interesting little bit of a tidbit.
Yeah.
So that is what it means. So we're all about also just coming along and straightening a crown a bit. We can't do the whole the holistic girl, but we do the menstrual side of it. So.
And I'm thinking about 2 things here. One, you know, and we're going to chat about this, the aspect of dignity.
Yes.
Right? And so affording people dignity when we're speaking and dealing with menstruation. But the other thing is, even queens bleed.
Absolutely.
Right? Women bleed. Doesn't matter if you're a queen. It doesn't matter like who you are, where you are. Women bleed. This is such a great story. Let's actually go into the dignity aspect of it, because, you know, when I said earlier that you started off saying, you don't want to give them something that you wouldn't wear yourself, right? That is also an aspect of dignity. How did you guys go through the process to like find something? I really just, you started manufacturing your own process. What was that like? What did you think about in terms of fabric? How do you navigate that process? And this is an entrepreneurial question also, but I'm interested.
Daunting. It was extremely daunting, and you're just like, what are we doing? You know, we really have this moments, because I am very fortunate to have my sister on board with me. And we will sit and we'll chat, and she'll say, like, what are we busy with? What are we doing? This is completely out of our realm. We're not meant to be doing this. Let's go back to what we know, for example. This takes you completely out of your comfort zone. You know, we would go speak to certain suppliers and we would tell them, this is what we have in mind. What is it that... Okay, then you need this kind of fabric, and this kind of fabric's absorbency is this level. You can't put the same kind of toweling, for example. You can't use this toweling because it doesn't have an absorbency level. I have had product while we were trialing that is probably 4 folded up towels, if you can see that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what discomfort that created. And I'm like, I'm never doing a reusable pad if this is what. And then you have, because you go through, look on.
And so
on
you were your own guinea pig also.
Yeah, and the family members. And they're like, no, I don't want that. No, thank you. I'll stick to what I know, the convenience of getting it off the shelf. It was daunting, but it kept me going. It was invigorating at the same time, because now we're working completely out of the familiar zone. We tackling something that we are passionate about, and you know, the passion grew. It wasn't there initially. It wasn't like, I want to address this topic, but the more you understood the product, the more you knew that people need to know about this aspect. The fact that you can have this kind of menstrual freedom. You don't have to have this worry about, I don't have something that I need every month. You know, you can ask somebody, you can borrow from somebody once, twice, but the third time it's embarrassing to ask. And you know you're never going to be able to repay. So what do you do? Because this thing comes every month. So yeah, for us it was a big deal to do the proper thing, so that it is not for LSMs X, Y, and Z. It is for women. It is for menstruators, period.
You know, I know that there's been sort of a narrative in the period poverty space for the longest time about how pads should be free. And condoms are free, right? Which is something that you make a choice about, and yet girls experience period poverty, they don't get free pads. And even if they were, you're introducing a very, very interesting economic dynamic here to say, well, it's fine, we say we're going to put pads in the, you know, school, girls' school bathroom, but there are women at home as well.
Yes.
And so actually, what does that mean when we think about pads are free? Tell us a little bit about the effect. So you were at this, your idea actually grew out of a need, out of working with school kids, out of understanding that this is an obstruction to them going to school. Tell us about some of the ways that period poverty impacts schooling for girls.
Well,
And what is it? Yeah, so I mean, it must have been a real trend for you guys to be able to pick that up during your after school activities.
so the stats of just 2023 shows that of the 22 million menstruators that we have in our very own country, 7.7 million, that is about 35%, suffer with period poverty. And of that 7.7 million, it's more than 4 million that is busy studying, whether it is schoolgirls or whether it's students on tertiary level. And that can affect your entire 7 days. And that is why, that is part of, that contributes to our high school dropout rate that we have. Because initially you start with, it can have an impact on it, because initially you don't do your first day or your second day, and you lose track of what is happening there. And before you know it, you lose interest altogether. Because imagine losing out 2 days every month of your participation in whatever, be it school, be it physical, going outdoors, being socially active. That has an emotional effect on you. Besides the physical aspect, it affects your mental well-being. It puts, you don't understand not you don't, I'm saying hypothetically, but what the consequences of period poverty. And that is why it's a term I don't use freely. I am all about Komani spreading period positivity. I want to reverse that poverty, that stigma that people don't have, and we do this whole shame phenomenon. No, can we talk about sustainability? Can we talk about the health benefits of using our product, of using a reusable product if you are currently using one? Can we talk about what it does to landfill? Yes, the government is issuing pads they've distributed millions of pads to many provinces. They issue disposable pads. I think it's last year, I say it under correction, where there's a reusable standard now with SABS. It's only been drafted now. They haven't entertained reusable pads before that. So now they're considering doing a sustainable alternative. Disposables is just exactly what it is. It lasts you for an hour, if that. And then you need to go on to the next one. So I'm asking you, like, where's the dignity in that? In that 6 or that 12 pack that they give you, or where is that for the menstruator who doesn't have month after month after month?
And, you know, when you spoke about taboo, did you find that the young girls, I mean, you must have engaged the young girls, right? The young schoolgirls who were, did you find, and I'm fascinated because when I was young, we didn't speak about it. Me and my cousins and my friends would whisper about it sort of in corners. What is are people still embarrassed to bring it up with the girls? Was it difficult to speak to the girls about that?
So definitely. We think that today, I look at my girls and they show me, I feel old now because they show me how to go navigate through a cell phone and all the rest of it. I know that at least. but they've got all the information at their fingertips, but they don't know the basics. When we do a handover, so our product still goes out through a handover because education is what is important. Menstrual hygiene management education. How do you use it? Why do you use it? Girls will come and they will, because we do a handover in 30 minutes and we stay at the school for an hour because the other part of the segment is all for them just because they don't want to raise their hand. It's the embarrassment that's attached to it. They will ask you simple things like, my granny told me I can't drink milk, or I can't wash my hair, or I can fall pregnant when I stand next to a guy. I'm talking about 2023. I'm talking about in today's society where you think everything is open, information is there. There's still that unspoken, and it's generational information that gets passed from the one to the next. They don't know why they can't drink milk. But because Granny said you can't drink milk, I'm going to carry on it. I'm probably going to perpetuate that into the next generation as well. So we just have this conversation with you.
And so interesting because all of these restrictions attached to the menstruation and to the period, right?
Because we're
that
not
also
ill.
serves to, exactly.
It's a biological function.
Yeah.
And you're going to get it, there's a menstrual cycle that's attached to it. You're going to get it within 21 and 35 days, depending on your biology. And it is something that you owe it to your own body to understand why you're so miserable on a certain time of the month. You need to be able to flag it and say, I'm going to be getting my period in 3 days' time at least, or I'm in that. So you don't really want to kill somebody, so I'm going off topic.
No.
But when you understand your menstrual cycle, it's education, man. It is education that is really just the knowledge that is going to set you apart in terms of managing it better. And that is what we do with our handovers. We try and bring about the product knowledge and what it is that your body is going through.
Did you engage with schools?
We do.
Okay. And I want to ask about the narrative from teachers. And I will say, at one year, a couple of years ago, I think my old high school had asked me to come and do a speech at the valedictory. And I went, and it was great. But afterwards, speaking to the teacher who was still there, a teacher who had taught me that was still there, and actually she brought up, she's like, our girls are struggling with pads. Sometimes they can't come to school. Their parents just don't have money. And I was so fascinated by that. I myself have stories about period poverty, but I always had access to the cheapest pad, but at least pad. I was, at least I had. And even there, it's interesting how you think you're saving money by using the cheapest pad, but I remember having to use two, right? So you're using it twice as fast because they don't have wings and they don't have all of this and the time it takes them to clean up and so forth. What are so my teacher expressed so much frustration around this issue. What is the narrative that comes forward by the teachers also? They're aware of these stories, they're aware of this as a challenge. How do they feel about it?
Usually we get a coordinator at the school that we deal with just to set up our handover and all the rest of it. And they are like so grateful for us coming there and presenting this particular product. And of course they can't hand it over because they don't understand the product themselves. So it's too expensive for it to be a handout. So we go there and we empower them with this kind of knowledge. What are some of the stories that I've heard that they use newspapers at the school? The janitor came with it, because you know how they have this little dispensary, the bins in the toilet. You can find certain things in there that they're not supposed to be using. Now, I cannot imagine not having a product, but I cannot imagine resorting to something that is that unhygienic as well. But you know, I need to be there, I said to you earlier on, because I am writing a big subject today. I need to be here. So it is that kind of where we compromise on our own health, where we have to make do, we have to be come up with genius ways of just protecting ourselves. We don't have to endure that. We don't have to. We shouldn't have to go through that, because periods is there and periods are here to stay. You know, it's unless you're on some kind of medication or whatever, but periods is just supposed to be a normal flow of your month. It's just supposed to be part of your month, and you must be able to reach for something. There we go. you don't think twice about the conditioner you put on your hair. You know, it's just like maybe you've got 3 bottles there. Why are you on your last of your supplies? It's the 24th. You might be getting paid on the 25th. You should be able to go into that drawer and know, okay, here's my product. So
I love that.
it's the access. So period poverty covers a whole range of topics, but two or three of the focuses that we have is accessibility to products. We're talking about the rural areas here, where there are one petrol station with one shop where they sell 5 packets perhaps, and maybe the village is a little bit bigger.
Yeah, so like almost like a product desert when we talk about food deserts.
Absolutely.
That it's just not there.
And so one month they have, and the next month they don't. And so you're a little bit stuck, and you've got to wait for the truck that's going to go into the city to bring you your stuff. So it's accessibility, it's affordability as well. And of course, it covers access. It also covers your sanitation facilities, and that we have to bite our little elephant in small sizes as well. So we are about accessibility and affordability right now.
Yeah, because sanitation is a whole different ball game.
Altogether, yes.
This is fantastic, and I want to go into more of this, but we need to take a short break, and we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. You're still watching The Woman Show, and we are speaking all things periods, period poverty, and menstruation. And still with me in studio is Stephanie Lamore from a social enterprise called Komani that manufactures and distributes reusable pads to address period poverty. And Stephanie, before the break, you were speaking about particularly what young schoolgirls are going through. So some of those options were like stay out of school for a couple of days every month. That knock-on effect is them missing vital work, missing vital interaction, and also contributes to dropout rates because it's difficult to catch up. You spoke about experiences and stories coming from schools about girls using different things then, and specifically one example you gave that was gotten from a school was newspaper. Someone needed to write an exam. She had absolutely nothing, and so used newspaper. You spoke about, now I just want to rehash because these are such important things, and I don't think we ever think about it like all together. And so even when we're doing the distribution of, and this is important, when we are doing the distribution of disposable sanitary pads, when we think about period poverty, we might distribute the sanitary pads to the school to help a single student or a collection of single students, but often those pads are also used at home. So there are other women at home, there are neighbors at home. We all need pads. And so we are chopping and changing and giving and lending and borrowing and trying whatever we can do to just like make it through. And you also have an organization called Womxn Foundation.
Yes.
You have an after-school program with young girls, and that's where you figured out that period poverty is an issue. And after exploring a number of options, you guys decided to literally manufacture, like design and manufacture. I want to hold one of them up here. Design and manufacture a pad.
Yes.
And so I think it is time for you to tell us about the Komani pad.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at it and I'm going to say, yeah, because I know what everyone else at home is thinking. You said one of the things that you were thinking was like, gross, washing out the blood. Okay, so that was top of mind. It's like, gross, I'm going to have to wash out my menstrual blood from this pad. Tell us about the pad.
So the easy version in terms of the pad is you will never put 2 words together, period and comfort. Those doesn't belong in one. Those 2 words don't belong in one sentence. This brings comfort to your period. You don't even remember that you are on your period. And I am saying this from a personal point of view. The pad is designed, and I don't have one to compare it with, but this is a slipper that we call the slipper. This is your overnight pad, and this becomes your best friend because it's comfortable. It's like, it just
look a bit like a slipper, right?
It does, yes. And when we pick this up at school, the students, you like get this collective gasp, like huge, it's big, but you know, this becomes your best friend. I think you can name it when you do use it. So what it does is, it has, this is the waterproof section. It's a polyurethane laminate fabric, It gives you the protection that we look for when we're on our period on that second day, that heavy flow.
Yeah.
You know, we all know if we use the conventional method that normally a wing will either clump, the pad will actually clump up, the wing will get lost somewhere on your panty line, and you find that you're leaking somewhere, or your back is wet. You know, that is like that's just giving all the detail. But this has a good protection coverage. The pad, the box itself. Oh, sorry, I'm going to just explain to you how to use it, because I do find people are not quite sure about that. So because this is the waterproof base, the waterproof level, all you do is imagine your panty is, this is the gusset of your panty, you clip it around the gusset.
Yeah.
And because there's no tape that gets stuck, you can position it until it's comfortable and it doesn't move.
And because it clips, it'll stay there.
It will stay just there where you want it to be. And when you are done, a box contains 4 pads, 3 different sizes. I'll tell you now what it's for, and a little bag as well. So you will always have, it's a waterproof bag. So you will take your pad and you will store your unused pad in there and throw it in your bag and it's forgotten. I know girls have told us that they've embellished it with some, or they've made it pretty with some charms and things, and so boys don't know what is in there. So this is your little carry bag, and if you are on your period, then you have your extra pad in here, and you go and change and you put your used pad in there and you switch. And the difference is this pad contains no chemicals that gives you a period smell that women can identify with. So you can wear your pad for up to 6 hours. It is made of a stay-dry top layer, so it doesn't feel, and there's a super absorbent in the that can take a heavy flow of up to 6 hours. I imagine that you cannot imagine.
Yeah, okay, so I wanted to give you some flash questions quickly.
Yes.
Some flash questions, because I have questions.
Of course.
Okay, so that does not look like it's going to take 6 hours of my flow on a second day. But I also know I'm sitting in this in-between space where you manufactured this and tested it yourself. So
it's so thin. It is thin, yes. Okay. So
so this would, so whatever's in here obviously is waterproof.
No. It retains more moisture.
Or it retains moisture.
The waterproof is the back layer.
I saw an Instagram video the other day, and you know, one of the things about women's products, which is really interesting, is that historically it's been created by men. Yeah. And someone posted this Instagram video that was saying she didn't know this, but recently she's realized that the majority of pads have been tested. Most pads have never been tested with menstrual blood. Yeah. With actual blood. They've just been using like those blue thing, the blue liquid.
And why blue? Why blue? Our period isn't blue. It's red.
It's red, exactly.
And so they do the waterproofing test by pouring some water on here. Yeah. It's not the consistency of your blood.
Yeah.
However, even with our testing that we have, it's there. It remains in there. It is not visible on the side.
Then when we're done, we wash it.
Yes.
What are the girls' reactions to that? Because, I mean, you and I, before the show, were also saying, okay, so even though we are women, even though we are, you used the word, menstruators.
Yeah.
Okay. I think about this a lot. I think about why is it so cringy to me, the thought of interacting with my own menstrual blood. Like, I think that from the beginning of time, I mean, I like to think if you subscribe that way, Eve, or however you want to, like menstruation is such a normal, natural thing. And yet I think that we have been conditioned and socialized to think it's a really gross thing, right? And so tell us about the care that you have to take. So you have to wash the pad, you have to, do you hang it up on the line? Like how does that work when you have
we obviously,
a usable pad?
So obviously when we do a handover, we speak to different audiences and you adapt what you're going to say depending on who you're going to speak to.
Okay.
So if I am having this conversation with you and I just assume that you have access to a shower, and all you do is you throw your used pad in the shower and you go about merrily washing yourself. And all you do is you lift it up and you rinse it and you throw it over your shower rod.
Okay, and I'm going to say something now. I'm going to say something about the way we were brought up, the way we were taught to, that's how you wash your panty.
Absolutely.
Right? You don't put it in the laundry.
Yes.
That's what my mother said.
Yes.
girls don't put their panties in the laundry basket. You have to wash it when you wash yourself, and then you hang it over the shower, right?
Yes, it takes
Yeah.
about 2 hours to dry. And after a couple of years, or depending on your age and where you are, the type of menstrual cycle that you have, some of us have stains or just brown clots, or you use sunlight soap.
Okay.
That is it. Is as simple as that. We do not use. This is still fluffy. This is part of our first range, right? When we launched in 2019, I haven't changed my sample box. But should the fluffiness go away, as you know, after years of using it, you use a drop of white vinegar, and that softens it back up again. And because Stay Soft, just all the normal fabric softener, has a layer of oil, and so it will affect the absorbency of it. So on our box, we say we guarantee 3 years, but I've been using it for more than 5 years, and I haven't been giving it extra care or buying super products or
Just using
whatever.
it as per
Sunlight
normal.
soap and a little bit of white vinegar just to soften it when it's necessary. And you won't smell like hot chips. It doesn't have a lingering smell or anything. It is easy to use. I just want to talk to the girl who doesn't have access to a shower.
Yes, let's do that.
So we have a little ice cream container in our kit when we do a handover, and we ask, we just assume, and we say, so when you wake up in the morning and you're miserable and you have this thing on and you want to change and you don't have the energy, let's do the worst case scenario. All you do is put it into your container face down, because it's not going to help really to put it with a waterproof at the bottom. Put it face down, put it in your safe space, wherever that is, be it under your bed or in your bathroom, and go to school. You have 3 more pads to carry you through. And when you come back, we have also done, through our research, we've used 6 liters of water pretending to not have access to water throughout an entire menstrual cycle. That was all that was needed to actually wash our pads, wash ourselves. So, yeah, I know that it's an entirely different topic for girls who don't have access to water. 6 liters of water.
No, but I'm so glad that you brought it up, actually. Or even if fetching water is part of your ritual for you just in your home, right?
wash.
For water and sanitation, and even for food. This is an extra element that has to go into it, and this affects everything, like your morning, how you're getting to school on time, getting ready, and so forth. So thank you, actually, for bringing that up. I mean, that would be another. Even I think every aspect that's got to do with menstruation has just got this layer of shame attached to it, right? So also, someone might think you can't do that pad lying you down or something. But I'm worried because we're running out of time. There's so much I want to ask you about, because the other thing, before we go into the campaign, because there is a campaign, and that's part of the reason like we're having this conversation, and we want to raise awareness around period poverty and menstruation. But before we go into that, I just want to say, so this is part of a social enterprise that is linked to Womxn.
Yeah.
You also then, you manufacture and distribute these pads, and then there's a program for unemployed women to become suppliers of the pads. So can you just tell us a little bit about like how that setup works? Basically?
So we empower unemployed women through employment.
Yeah.
So perhaps they were previously unemployed, who now work in our social enterprise. So they in turn are able to provide for their families, their extended families as well. So we also, in partnership with another organization, do skills development. And we currently have 3 interns who've just graduated the past weekend, who has now also joined our social enterprise manufacturing pads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it is just like a woman empowering women in different aspects as well.
And it's great also to know that women are manufacturing the pads for women.
Yes.
Right.
It's what we want to wear. We understand. It's like a man manufacturing a bra and saying, well, this is going to be a good fit for you.
Let's not go there, but that's also happened. Right.
Yes, absolutely. So,
okay. Tell us about the campaign.
So about 2 years ago, we got this email asking to supply a school of 1,700 kids. And I read this email 2 years ago. It was during COVID at that time, 2-3 years ago. And I read this email, and not to play on anybody's emotions, I sat there and I sobbed, and I just thought, this can't be. The way this woman writes this email, the teacher, I still have the email on record. And I thought, we need to do something.
Yeah.
We need to do something. We managed to get a sponsor for 100 packs, and I sent her 100 packs. And it's like giving that 1 packet of conventional pads to one girl. They asked for 1,007 and you're sending 100. Wow. But we also need to stay focused in terms of the industry that we are in. We are non-profit, we're not a corporate, so we had to find sponsorship for it. Somebody's got to pay for it. And that was the day where we went on this quest of we need to take Komani to Komani, because the school is from Komani. And
Okay.
it's been 2 years. It's been more than 2 years where we've been, and we've subsequently gotten requests. We've got a beneficiary waiting list that's going to take us to Komani. We not called Komani for no reason. Even before Queenstown changed its name, we were Komani. We just put that on record. So we want to take our product to Komani. We have a mega ambitious campaign that we have launched, and we are committed to go in October, because November is not quite going to work with exams and that. Where we want to take 10,000 packs, not pads, 10,000 packs. We're looking at raising 2 million rand. In the bigger scheme of things, that is huge. You know, you get a figure of 2 million and you think, we can get 10 corporates to support us. We can break it down again, this big elephant, and we can break it down, and it is doable. And all we want to do is we want to go to 20 schools, and we want to deliver 500 packs at 20 schools on our way to Komani. It's simple.
And because because what I did is also like along the N1 and the N2,
Correct.
stopping and we're stopping at schools along the way.
With the
and then
bulk
handing
being
out.
distributed in Komani itself. We cannot do it on our own. We have a partner pitch presentation on the 10th of April, and we need people to come on board and support us. You might never have had the issue of reaching into the cupboard and there was nothing.
Yeah.
It's another form of privilege, nothing wrong with it. Parents that took care of you and all the rest of it. But she's there, man. And we don't want her to be left behind for any reason. And particularly not periods. So I'm here for her.
Can I ask you, so have you calculated the cost? Because that's what I'm thinking about. You know, when I was a teenager, and you know, before the break, I was telling Stephanie the story that I told about my periods when I was a teenager was that we had those little corner shops, and all my mom could afford was, I often spoke about, was like these, like the cheapest of the cheap pads. Like they didn't even have a name on it. They were like, you know, it was white clear. They were like packaged by the shop in these white clear, and they were thick and they were horrible. And obviously no wings. And I remember dreaming about the day that I could afford to buy Always and have wings on the side, but they were horrible. And it was only later that I had to check my privilege, because the thing is, I always had access to a pad.
Yes.
Like I had to sit and get my head around, like when I first heard about period poverty, it's like there is somebody who just does not have. So even if they don't go to school, even if they stay home, I mean, are they using a cloth? Like I cannot imagine. I've never had to imagine that. And so that is privilege. So I wanted to ask you a question. Oh, cost. So get one of these. Let's say we're providing a pack of these. Have you calculated what the cost saving of that would be for somebody?
There is a cost saving factor. I can't give an exact figure right now.
Yeah.
I have it somewhere.
Like how many packs of pads people do? I'm a woman. I'm trying to think.
So
1.5 packs
no,
maybe?
I have done the calculation based on using 1 pack of 5 rand. You know, they sell that 5 rand pack somewhere. Yeah. Yes.
So actually, I don't know, which is again showing my privilege.
No,
But
so
okay,
there's
let's say 5
so
rand
there
pack.
is a 5 rand pack, and I think it has 5 or 10 packs. Even if you use 1 pack over 36 months, this is what we guarantee our product, 3 years. It's still more expensive than using this.
Yeah.
This pack, I don't know if you want to know or not, but it cost 180 rand. And it's going to be cheaper. It's more cost effective, even using the cheapest product that's
Yeah.
on the market.
Yeah.
It is healthier for your periods as well. As I said, you will find that there isn't the chafing around the product, the inner thigh chafing that you have. There isn't this normal menstrual smell. There's a whole host of benefits as to why switch to a reusable. And it's not like we're going back into the way it used to be. It is a progression in terms of sustainability, in terms of improved health, in terms of being environmentally conscious even. You know, we struggle to get our product in the market until it is recognized in what they call first world countries, and now all of a sudden the storyline has changed. Now we find people are becoming more and more aware of using sustainable alternatives. So cost effective, there's a saving on that as well.
We're essentially looking at, if you think about it, and I'm going to stay with the schoolgirl analogy. You're essentially looking at spending 180 rand over 3 years, over 3 school years, to ensure that this child does not miss her education. Let's say during high school, 3 years, 180 rand versus, let's not calculate the cost for how much that would be over 3 years. I am absolutely terrible at math. Next two of us. This is so great. I do want us also to just touch on how people can support, and also what you were talking about, sustainability and the environment, because I think that's a very important point to raise. But before we do that, we need to take a short break, and we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. You're still watching The Woman Show, and we have been speaking about the real deal when it comes to periods, menstruation, with a special focus on period poverty. And still with me in studio is Stephanie Lamore from Komani, who is a social enterprise that manufactures and distributes reusable pads, primarily to young high school women who are struggling to just a whole range of things. We've spoken about like a whole range of issues actually attached to menstruation. Stephanie, so before the break, you were speaking about the campaign, Komani to Komani, right? So you want to take 10,000 packs of pads, right? To, is it Komani High School?
No, Komani, the little town inside the eastern
The town. Okay. Komani, the town, and along the way, you want to distribute packs of pads to high schools along the N1 and the N2.
Correct.
Now, I did have a look at your website, and they are, so for the broader sort of access and for broader, not just Komani, but other schools as well, there are ways, let's say I wanted to get some packs for my high school, who I know suffer from period poverty with their young women. There are different ways to support this initiative and to get the packs out. Can you tell us about that? I think there's like 3 ways.
Yeah, so obviously there's always the banking details where you can just put a reference, Komani to Komani. There's also the where you can just contact us on WhatsApp, and we can have a discussion. And obviously you can email us as well in terms of wanting to be part of the campaign. But if you in particular want to nominate your own school and is perhaps not part of this journey that we're doing, if it's separate to the campaign, the production is continuing. We are catering for that as well. So we will be ready for whoever comes on board and whoever's going to be part of the K2K campaign as well.
I see. And then do you, I think I saw something, but if I'm wrong, that's also fine. Do you sponsor a schoolgirl? Does that mean, like, I want to send 180 to, like, is there...
So we have, yes, we have individual, we have anonymous sponsors, we have anonymous donors. None of the product can go out without financial means. And whether it's individuals, whether it is corporates, whether it's corporates adopting us for their CSR initiatives for 2024. Remember, we are also a PBO registered organization. So there's a Section 18A that we can present to them for tax relief and all the rest of it, that kind of benefit that is attached to for them. But yes, we're calling out to the individual. Just reference your product as K2K and it will be set aside. If you want to be acknowledged, we can do that as well. We are about getting that to her. Whether it's going to take 1,000 people for the 10,000 packs or whether it's going to take 2 corporates that's going to get us our packs. Our doors are open to anybody who's willing to assist us.
And where can people find more information?
You know, our website is not the best at the moment. It's busy being revamped. It is there. Komani.org is there, but it doesn't say anything about it. It is in the process. It's the beginning of the year, so it's a work in progress. But they can reach us at info@komani.org or info@tough.org, or they can go and look at our socials. It's Komani Girl on Facebook or Instagram, and what else?
I want to ask, so I know it's an odd question, it's a big question for the last question, right? But I want to touch, and I feel it would be a bit irresponsible not to speak about this, even in some small way. One of the issues that you brought up was sustainability, right? And we spoke about the environment. I love the way you said before the break, where you said using reusable products or reusable pads doesn't mean we're going back to the stone ages or the old way, like, you know, people might associate it with now moving back and using a cloth. One of the things that I've seen, I remember after in the sort of reusable diaper movement, but what brought it home to me was seeing disposable nappies in landfills, right? And not thinking about it. We don't really think about it. When I think about my consumerism journey from when I was young and buying the pads that I could afford, I aspired to use more expensive pads, right? But also disposable. It had a certain status attached to it. I mean, that's another conversation, but it had a certain status attached to it. And at no point in that whole journey did I think about what happens to the pad after I throw it in the bin. The only thing I know is that I'm not supposed to throw it in the toilet.
Yeah, because it clogs up the pipes.
Yeah. My dad taught me that, of all people. Not supposed to throw it in the toilet. So, do you, what's the sustainability aspect of this? What are we looking at what should we be thinking about? Now, I don't want to knock anything here, but what should we be thinking about in terms of the environment when we talk about disposable pads?
So they say, what you know, you can never unknow. And I'm going to tell you this, and you're not going to unknow it. What you do with it is up to you. A disposable pad takes between 500 and 800 years to decompose in landfill.
Wow. And if I think about how long I've been getting a period and so how many disposable pads I've used already, that really brings it into sharp focus.
Yes. So one of these packs, if you use an average again of 10 pads for your monthly cycle, and we say this is 36 months, make it 40 months, one of these packs alone replaces 400 pads. It doesn't end up in landfill. One.
Sure.
One user. So we are strongly working on our own ESG compliance, our environmental, social, and governance compliance, and we are all about going green. We reuse, we repurpose whatever offcuts we have. We make little product that can be used before it goes into the bin, and that is part of our sustainable focus. We can all do our bit, and yeah, just think about that. I didn't know that stat until and you can fact check it. It is there. It is startling, and when we use it again, then hopefully we will reconsider.
Okay, and is this one of the facts that you bring into your education? Is there an environmental aspect that you bring into your education systems when you do the handover?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. We were at a school in the southern suburbs last year, and they actually wrote a letter, and this was one of the students that is into the environment. You'll be surprised how many students are that cares for the environment. And she wrote and she said she's so glad there's this particular product. During our handover, she wrote this note and she said she's so glad there's this product that also cares for the environment. She can't wait to use it. So it's amazing how certain things resonates with certain people, and other things we speak to a wide audience.
We have 2 minutes, like literally. I just remembered. Okay, so 2019 it launched. You've handed it out to lots of school kids. I mean, not enough, obviously, and you have a big goal. But if you could, in one sentence, I think just feedback, the best feedback you've gotten from some of the girls that after they started using the product, like how has it changed anything in big ways?
I think it's the fact that they don't even have to think about their period. It's their period just happens like everything else. Like they reach for their school shoes every day. They know when they have their period, they can reach for their pads. They don't have to think about their period. And that is freedom.
I love that. And that is freedom. Stephanie, we are out of time. Thank you so much for coming here today. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for extending freedom to young girls who just want to finish school. So thank you so much for joining us.
It was my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
That is all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lynn Rasool. Goodbye. much.